1 week after an explosive Raw after Mania, WWE rolled into the T-Mobile Center in Kansas, Missouri for a show featuring Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker, plus a showdown between Rhea Ripley and Roxanne Perez. And let's start things off with the new heel stable. And yeah, the future of pro wrestling WWE runs through Seth Rollins, the winner of WrestleMania Night 1 main event, and he informed the fans at the top of the show. He was interrupted by Sami Zayn, though, the underdog from the underground, criticised Rollins by claiming the collection of supporters he insulting himself is no different than what Roman Reigns did with the Bloodline, and he suggested the heel was jealous of Punk. Denouncing Zayn's claims, Rollins told the former IC champ that he had until the end of the night to decide whether he's buying into what the group are selling or if he needs to leave for SmackDown. It was a solid enough segment, setting up a storyline for the rest of the show and putting Zayn, one of the great sympathetic babyfaces in WWE history, into a position where he can make a decision that could change his career. So yeah, an interesting start to the show. Before we started things off with Rhea Ripley and Roxanne Perez in terms of in-ring action, and yeah, you could say a dream match between two of the best in the world, and the prodigy targeted the knee of the Australian, looking to take her out, while Mami utilised her strength advantage to outpower Perez and toss her around the ring. Perez held her own against the former world champ, but Ripley rolled late on until Julia interfered and drew a DQ. The NXT exports beat down the Eradicator until Io Sky hit the ring to make the save. The heels got the better of her before Ripley chased them off, with Raw stars standing tall to close the segment. A strong match between two immensely talented performers, and while it may not have been a suitable finish, it did further a blossoming rivalry between standard bearers across two women's divisions. More importantly, it creates intrigue surrounding Ripley and Sky's ability to get along when the former is chasing the latter's championship. So yeah, this was really good stuff. Gets 7 out of 10 from me. On the heels of a victory over AJ Styles at WrestleMania 41, Logan Paul then made his intentions clear. He wants a shot at the world title. Jey Uso interrupted and said he was not going to hand over the title after years of hard work to an entitled YouTuber. Paul claimed the champ would lose his world title quicker than the IC title, and Uso answered with a super kick that left the social media star lying to close the segment. Paul's a perfect first opponent for Uso because he's no threat to the champion's popularity, and he can lose a match without losing heat. He's a consummate heel who will always enrage fans and be effective as a villain. Uso beating it with PLE will allow him to build momentum early on, while it doesn't define his title reign. It also keeps him away from Seth Rollins, who seems maybe a bit of an endgame at this point too. Before moving on into the War Raiders against the Judgment Day, and JD McDonough made a mistake by costing Pence the IC title a week ago, and Amar Superstar returned the favour, interfering in his and Balor's match with the War Raiders. With an otherwise action-packed showdown came to a screeching halt when Pence shoved McDonough off the top rope, setting him up to endure War Machine and leaving Eric and Ivar to remain as the top team in the tag division. A solid match, including the latest in Pence's budding rivalry with the Judgment Day, made this a worthwhile addition to the show. Bonus for New Day's excellent chemistry as well. So yeah, this on the whole was great stuff, and I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Backstage, Paul Heyman then told Sami Zayn that if he agrees to trade SmackDown, he will face the winner of Orton v Cena at Backlash. That's how much Seth Rollins thinks of you, he told him. Yeah, just adding the intrigue as to what we're going to see later. But on the heels of her shocking actions toward Women's IC champ Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch spoke to the WWE Universe Monday and admitted it was she who attacked Bayley Shock, leaving her unable to compete at Mania. She blamed the role model for attacking her 5 years since 2019 and claimed that she tried to convince Valkyria to drop her, but she wouldn't listen. This drew Lyra out, who refused to admire Lynch and issued a challenge for Backlash for a title on the line. This was made with the right decision for the man. She held Bayley accountable for her previous actions while also being an unsifable heel who prepped herself up as a bigger star and seems to take great pride in her attack. Valkyria shined here in a rare opportunity for her to collapse a lengthy promo, weathering the watch chance nicely, and yes, she passed it with flying colours, and I think that will be a great match when we get to it. So yeah, this is good stuff. We then got Stephanie Vaquer versus Ivy Nile. Before the match, a video package featuring Rusev laid out his motivational return to fix the arrogant like he fixed himself during his exile from WWE, and can't wait to see Rusev get back in the ring. Before Vaquer continued her incredible run of late, beating Ivy Nile in a singles match. The Prima weathered the onslaught thrown at her by her opponent, and an interference from Chad Gable to beat Nile and pin her following the SVB. This did not appear to be the beginning of a rivalry, but rather an excuse to keep Vaquer on TV. She's a star of the immediate future, so it makes sense that the creative team would want her. And based on the reaction, it's starting to be working. Expect the NXT World Champion to be a member of the main roster fully sooner rather than later. 7 out of 10. Following the events of last week's show, which saw him choked out by Gunther, Pat McAfee climbs atop the announce table and cut an impassioned promo about his life, loyalty and desire to battle the ring general. He requested Nick Aldis filling in for Adam Pearce Monday Night Lift and Gunther's band so he could get back him. Instead, the stand-in Raw GM booked the match for Backlash. Between Paul getting a world title shot against Jason and McAfee staying off against Gunther, this pay-per-view is definitely going to be something. McAfee is impressed between the Rex more times than not. And yeah, if anyone can get a good match with him, it's going to be Gunther. Love him all over him. He's a great talker. And yeah, it's going to be very intriguing to see where it goes. But I'm very intrigued, I've got to say. Before backstage, Uso told Zayn but he believed he would make the right decision. As the latter walked out, Uso took a knockout punch from Paul, who got the last laugh. But despite an impassioned plea from Rollins to Zayn to take the pass and go to SmackDown, the latter turned it down, finding himself placed in the match with the man who defended him for the IC title at SummerSlam, Bron Breakker. The consequences of Zayn's decision manifested themselves rather quickly as Breakker physically punished him, overpowering him. Zayn showed off the resiliency that's been a trademark of him for years now, but it wasn't enough as Breakker steamrolled him with 3 spears and adding a final spear on the floor. Rollins, frustrated and angry, refused to leave and delivered a stomp to Zayn as the show went off the air, an effective way to highlight the new heel faction against a guy as interesting as Zayn. It'll be intriguing to see where it goes for him from now, probably the big match between Zayn and Rollins. But yeah, this was great stuff. And overall, Raw gets a 7 out of 10 for me. I thought, this was a really strong episode of Raw. Lots of intriguing stories on here. Lots of really decent matches. So yeah, I'm definitely very happy with the direction of Raw's going on at the moment. I think that pay-per-view is definitely kind of shaping up to be something very intriguing indeed, isn't it? So yeah, good stuff.
Hey guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.